Exodus 32. We are going to Exodus 32, chapter 32. And there's a question that I need to pose to everyone. And it's relevant, and it's important, and it's necessary for the church in this time. We are in challenging and changing times. And so this question is relevant, and we all must consider it, or if we're wise, we should consider it now, because we are all going to be tested. Some of us already have been, and we will continue to be. We will be tried. We all know the 3 T's: test, trials, and testimonies we'll have. So the question that I must pose is, who is on the Lord's side? Who is on the Lord's side? And you may wonder, well, why would you pose that question, who's on the Lord's side? Because many people, there was a conversation this week that came up at work with someone, and I didn't think they would bring this conversation up, but I've learned that people don't know what it means to be on the Lord's side. They don't think he has a desire, a preference, or any of that, but he does, in fact, have a desire. He has a will, a purpose. He has conditions that we are supposed to live by. We know it. It's all over the Bible, from beginning to end. He tells Adam what to do. Adam and Eve mess up. They get booted out the garden. That's the condition. The condition was, do not eat from the tree. We can keep going through Israel and all of their times of up and down, through millenniums, up and down, up and down. And we get to the point where they've been warned. Jeremiah is going through all of this trouble to warn them. Behave yourself. Get right with God. Do the right thing. Be on the Lord's side is what he's saying. I'm paraphrasing. In all that he did, he was saying be on the Lord's side. And when it didn't work out for them, they didn't listen. They imprisoned him as well, attempting to take him with them into captivity. So, and then we can just keep going on. New Testament, just keep going through the end. Who is on the Lord's side? We get to Revelations, the 7 churches. Some are doing fairly well, but, we're still messing up in some areas, because I don't believe people know what it means to be on the Lord's side. And so we're just his will, his purpose, and his conditions, meeting those, being concerned about those, being concerned about what he's concerned about, loving what he loves and hating what he hates. And so we're just going to take a look at this because it's pertinent, it's important, it's relevant. There's no avoiding that we all need to be on the Lord's side. And there are consequences for not being on his side. And that is something that the church struggles to eat. But we know with Ezekiel, he told him, and even with Ezekiel, he said, eat the whole scroll, not a piece, not a part, not a bit, the whole thing. And we know with John, hold on one second. All right, let me put it down. We know with John that he told John, the angel gave John the book, and he was to eat the whole book, not a few pages, the whole book. And so the church, we have to build ourselves up in our most holiest, of strength. We have to build ourselves up. We can't be weak, wishy-washy. And so we're going to take a look at Exodus 32. I think it's a great example, and that's where Moses poses the question, who is on the Lord's side? We don't need to be fooled as the church. God has an agenda. He has a preference. He has his own mind. And even though many people they don't feel that they hear or see, his mind is this word. It's expressed in this word. So Exodus chapter 32, and we're going to read quite a few of the verses, maybe through verse 28, 29, 30, something like that. And I'm going to start at verse 1. And what is happening so far is the people of Israel have been delivered out of slavery at this point. And you can read all of Exodus. Most of us on here know the people of Israel have been delivered out of slavery. At this point, they have begun their what should have been 11 days, but becomes 40 years in the wilderness. They have already begun. that part of their journey. And so we're going to start at verse 1 of chapter 32. I'm reading from King James Version. Verse 1, and when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what became of him. So the people are saying, we don't know where he's at. Moses has been gone for quite a while, up on the mount, communing with God, getting instructions for the people. And Aaron has been left to babysit the people. So they go to Aaron. Notice they go to him. He's the leader in Moses' absence. He's supposed to be guarding the people, protecting the people. He's a priest. Aaron has walked with Moses at the time the people were being delivered. While they were still in slavery, Aaron was going with Moses to confront Pharaoh. He went along with Moses. He firsthand witnessed the miracles. He himself was Moses' spokesperson. Moses was initially afraid to speak up to Pharaoh. He was making excuses with God for the reasons why he can't go face Pharaoh. But God sent Aaron to go along with Moses and speak. And this is that same Aaron that the people of God are coming to, telling him, we don't know where this dude went. Make us gods. Verse 2. And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings, which are in your ears, which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. I don't even, when I read that, I'm not trying to just be judgy, but you have to admit, I'm at a loss of words almost. Like, what was he thinking? The people are coming to you, and they're saying to you, we want to make some other gods. You yourself know that God is real. You yourself have spoken on behalf of God. Your own eyes have witnessed what God has done. And Moses is your brother, and you know he's genuine. You know he's sincere, and you also know he's up at that mountain communing with God. And you are giving in to people, and there are many leaders, we've seen it over the decades, that give in to people. They give in to the thoughts of people, what the people want. This is not, there's that R&B song, give the people what they want. But we're not in the world. Who's on the Lord's side? There is a line of demarcation. God is drawing a line in the sand, and we all going to choose who we serve. The day of reckoning, we're in this, I should say the era, during this whole era. It's an era of reckoning. We're all going to know where we stand. These people have already, they stepped across the line, and Aaron has stepped with them. And he definitely knew better. The people, I might be inclined to think, again, they didn't really know what being on the Lord's side meant. They were slaves. They weren't with them up there. They didn't directly hear God speak. They did see the miracle. They did walk on dry land. They did witness Pharaoh's army being swallowed up as they were rescued. They don't have an excuse to say they don't, but the cloud is leading them by day. The fire is keeping them warm and giving them light at night. They can't say they don't have a clue, but they have not really directly been, and it's like people today. There's many people in the church. There's many people, like I said, I had an encounter this week. There are many people who have heard about God. They might have heard from us. They might have heard through someone else. Many times they hear through many different avenues. The media, I could say it, I'm in the press. They're talking about the church, and they're talking about God. And it's not very favorable. There is a definite move to stop the preaching of everything in the gospel. There are certain things they don't want preached anymore. And there are countries like Canada, and I believe the state of Colorado, have made legal moves to keep that from happening. We have to become sober. Who's on the Lord's side? as I heard these people, this is my own field, talking about ways that something has to be done about the church. Something has to be done about the things that we are speaking on, whether it's homosexuality, abortion, these major topics you hear. They don't want to hear about gender, equality, change, and all that stuff. They are making moves. Who is on the Lord's side? And people, generally people, they really don't know that the Lord has a side. They don't know what it means to be on the Lord's side. They have no clue that God has, they think it's just people, other people. As a person said to me, you follow somebody, and I was at a loss for a second. I follow somebody because I wouldn't describe Jesus that way as just somebody, but they said he was just common. You follow somebody. I was like, sorry. They were like, you follow somebody. You're just like those people. You're a Christian. I mean, this is where people are. This is what they're thinking. And yes, I did say something, even though they say you're not supposed to talk about the Bible at work and blah, blah, blah. I didn't bring it up, but since they did, yes, I did. I started quoting scriptures. Oh, yes. It got quiet after a while. Who is on the Lord's side? Who is on the Lord's side? My supervisor didn't say a word. He already knows me. We've already had that tango a few years ago. Verse 3. And all the people brake off the gold earrings which were in their ears and brought them unto Aaron. I just, shame. I mean, I don't want to say it, but it's shameful. It's horrible. It's unthinkable. What was he thinking? What was he thinking? Because he knew better. So what was he thinking? God help me. God help me. When these people were saying those things this past week, I didn't decide I'm going to agree with them. I'm going to come into agreement. We're on the same page. We're not on the same page. I am on the Lord's side. Verse 4. And he received of their hand and fashioned it with a graving tool. He fashioned, he worked on it. It's not like he just said, well, let me collect this gold to pacify them, throw it in this fire and whatever. And who cares what comes out? It's not, listen, the Bible tells us you serve gods that neither hear nor speak nor move. It wasn't going to speak, move, deliver them, or do anything else for them. So who cares what it even looked like? He took the time, he fashioned it with a graving tool. After he made it, a molten calf, and they said, these be thy gods. I don't know who they are. They said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. Verse 5, and Aaron went, and when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. So he even took it to the next level. It wasn't enough that he got some tools, helped the fashion, collected the jewelry, had them put it in the fire, had this thing carved into a calf. They, whoever they are, said, these be your gods, Israel. Then Aaron took it to the next level, and Aaron saw it. He built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation. He said something. He declared something. And what he said was, tomorrow is a feast to the Lord. What Lord was he talking about? What Lord was he talking about? And that brings me to the point. You hear a lot of people say, oh, I bless the Lord or the Lord this. And not all people are talking about Jesus Christ when they say Lord. Ask people into different religions. People into all kinds of witchcraft and other things. Not everybody's Lord is Jesus. They'll say Lord or they'll say God, but they're not talking about our God. Not beating up on other religions, whether they're Islamic or anything else, not beating up on them. A lot of people say, oh, it's the same God. We all serve the same God. His name is not Allah. His name is not Buddha. We do not serve the same God. Who is on the Lord's side? There is a line of demarcation. There is a distinction. We are not all the same. Everyone who names the name of Christ is not being genuine. 2 Timothy 2:9 talks about naming the name of Christ. It talks about, nevertheless, the foundation of God standeth sure. It talks about everyone naming the name of Christ. We need to be genuine. We need to be the real deal. God is not asleep at the wheel. And people think just because he doesn't say anything directly to them, just because They don't hear nor see nor have a relationship with him. They think he's asleep at the wheel. They think he's sitting somewhere up there on the throne, so we're not paying attention. A line is drawn in the sand. God always will have somebody in the earth who will represent him. He's too good. Somebody will always love him. Somebody will always be faithful to him. And I would warn everybody, don't give away your relationship with God. The value that your relationship holds to God, don't give it away. These people had a valuable relationship. They were delivered under extreme and adverse circumstances. God has delivered many of us out of extreme and adverse circumstances. These people were delivered. Aaron himself, he was at the head, at the forefront, witnessing firsthand God's deliverance. Some of these people, they were just part of the crowd. They were just slaves, and they went around borrowing the jewelry they were told to borrow. They were just doing what they were told. Then they went, and I don't know, they were here they go, at the Red Sea. I don't know what I'm going to do. People are going. Remember, there was a lot of people, like 1 million people. So everybody couldn't see to the front. Next thing you know, line is moving. Where are we going now? Isn't this the Red Sea? Next thing you know, dry ground. They walking on it. They experiencing a miracle. Don't give up your relationship with Christ. It has extreme value. Don't give in to the whims of the world. They brought their worldly ways, their worldly ideas, and Aaron, he's a priest, he gave in. We all have fallen. I love what my husband always mentions. Minister Gill always talks about God has given us the 85th, 95th, chance after chance after chance, but we don't want to just be abusive. Like Paul said, because grace abounds. Are you just going to keep being, and I'm paraphrasing this part, just being abusive because grace abounds? Verse 6. So he tells them, tomorrow there's going to be a feast. Verse 6. And they rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go, get thee down, for thy people, which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly away from the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation. He's like, listen, I'm going to start over again. I don't have enough of them. God is ready to start over again. He said to Moses, I will make of thee a great nation. Verse 11. And Moses so I just want to say this quickly, as God says to Moses, he'll start over again. He says, I'll make of thee a great nation. God has a mind concerning these things, concerning the things we as the church do. He has a mind. He has a thought. He's telling Moses. His thought at that point was, okay, it's like that. Wipe them out, start over again, do over. Verse 11, and Moses besought the Lord his God and said, Lord, why doth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and a mighty hand? Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, For mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountain, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from thy fierce wrath, and repent of this evil against thy people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest thine own self, and saidest unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give it unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. And Moses turned and went down from the mount, and the two tables of the testimony were in his hand, and the tables were written on both their sides, on the one side and on the other side, and on the other were they written. And the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God, graven upon the tables. He's talking about the Ten Commandments, the original tables that had the Ten Commandments. They were priceless. How about that if that had survived? And the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God. Can you imagine God's handwriting? I wonder what it looked like. It was graven upon the tables. Verse 17, and when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moses, there is a noise of war in the camp. And he said, it is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. That's what Moses is saying. And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf, and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot. Now, he just convinced God, don't be angry, don't be mad at them, because people going to think, what they going to think about you? You done brought these people out of Egypt. What will people think about you now? Now, he's telling God all that to calm God down. He sees the calf, and he himself loses his cool. It said, then he said, and it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot, and he came to cast the tables, and he cast the tables out of his hand and break them beneath the mount. He broke something that was priceless. It was the original. It had God's own signature. He broke it. He was so angry. And we know, if you read all of Exodus and keep reading, that Moses' anger eventually gets him in trouble. Verse 20, and he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire and grounded the powder and strawed it upon the waters and made the children of Israel drink of it. He made them drink it after he damaged it. Imagine gold and whatever else was in that water, and he made them drink it. He was so angry. And Moses said unto Aaron, what did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them? So he's holding Aaron responsible. Aaron at that time was the minister in charge. He was governing the people. He ultimately was in charge. And now he's being called front and center, called out. Why you let these people cause you to sin? That's what Moses is telling them. Verse 22. And Aaron said, and he's telling the truth at this point, he's telling the truth, let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest this people, that they are set on mischief. Now, ain't he something? He not owning no part of it. They came to him. He's the leader. He's the babysitter. He's the minister. He's the governing body in charge. They came to him, and he didn't even question them. He immediately said, well, get the earrings and stuff out of your wives' ears, your children. He didn't even try to put up a fight. Here he is, throwing them under the bus. For they said unto me, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And I said unto them, whosoever hath any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it to me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. Oh, did it really now? He cast it into the fire, and then he said, there came out. He didn't mention the fact that he was just a chiseling away, participating in it, making it a calf. He didn't mention the fact that he made the calf an altar. He's shucking his responsibility. This man is a priest. God help us all. This man is a priest. We all who are called, all of us, whether you are a minister or not, you name the name of Christ, we have an obligation. Loyalty. He delivered them. They would have still been slaves. Then what? God delivers us and he does something for us. We owe him something, and we don't like to think of it as owing God something. We don't like, well, salvation is free. It is. The maintenance plan is costly. How about that? It costs. It's going to cost you something to maintain salvation. It is holiness or hell. I didn't grow up in the church, but I used to hear like people here and there talking about that. Didn't really know what it meant when I was younger, but I get it now. It really is holiness or hell. And we're going to see a bit of it here. So then he said, And I said unto them, well, that's what he said. And what verse we at? 26. No, 25. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, what is Aaron doing? Why are the people naked? What is he doing? Not only has he made them a molten calf, they partying and carrying on. This man got them out there naked. What is he doing? All of his own perversions just coming out the closet. For Aaron, it has in parentheses, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. 26. Then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, who is on the Lord's side? This is the moment of truth. Change has come unto them at this point, and challenge has come unto them. Who is on the Lord's side? And in this new era, we will have this question is being posed to us. Change and challenge has come. We have seen nothing yet. Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. Change and challenge has come, and the question is, who is on the Lord's side? Because maybe he hasn't appeared to you like you want. Maybe he hasn't spoken like you want. Maybe he hasn't done like you want. He's not just anybody. He's the King of Kings. We have many kings in the earth. Presidents are a type of king. You know, all these different leaders around the world are types of king. He's the King of Kings. You know, if you were going to meet not even one of the presidents, but let's say one of the ambassadors at the UN, one of the leaders at the WHO, World Health Organization, or the International Bank, or any of these places where you have world leaders, you would not eat your junk food, you know, go to a restaurant, eat your food, put your junk in a garbage, put it in a nice bag, and give it as a gift to any of those people. In other words, you would not give these people garbage for a gift or an offering. But that's what these people did, and that's often what we, the church, we have to correct ourselves. That's what we do a lot to God. We just try to offer him anything, like just any kind of lifestyle will do. Anything will do. Anything will not do. Who is on the Lord's side? We have to begin to value that relationship, because people, our presidents, all of them, and other presidents, because they value the relationships they value, they bring a gift and they give a gift away. I mean, what do you give a person who has everything? Like, what does the President of the United States not have? What does the Queen of England not have, especially with all the gifts they've been getting for centuries? What do they not have? Yet, people find a gift. They get something of value, and they give it because they value the relationship with those people. We have to value our relationship with God. And though we know there's really not any natural thing that we can give to him, the most prized thing you can give is you. The most prized thing you can give is yourself, your time, your life, your thoughts, your person. Romans 12, I believe it's the first 3 verses. Present yourself a holy, living sacrifice. You're the sacrifice, holy and living. Don't kill yourself. You know, people say, oh, I'm going to sacrifice myself, cut myself. Holy and living sacrifice, pleasing and acceptable to God. And then he says, this is just your reasonable act of worship. That's just reasonable. You don't present it yourself. You live in holy, doing all you do, live holy, pleasing and acceptable to him. So he has a mind. He has a will. He has a purpose. He has conditions, pleasing and acceptable condition unto God. And then he says, that's just your reasonable. Doing all of that you know to do ain't even nothing exceptional. He calls that reasonable. In other words, that's the least you could do, just reasonable. We can't give away. We have to recognize the value of our relationship with Christ. We have to recognize the value of our relationship with Christ. Verse 26, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, who is on the Lord's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. Verse 27, and I'm almost done. And he said unto them, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from the gate, from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses, and there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. There are consequences. There are consequences for betraying God. Who is on the Lord's side? Choose ye this day, the word says, whom you will serve. You will love one master and you'll hate the other. We all make a decision every day. Every day we make a decision. Every day when we serve or don't serve God, we've made a decision. So I wanted to leave that word with you. Who is on the Lord's side? We are in very trying times. We are in very challenging times. This era is going to bring challenges that we did not think about. This era is going to bring challenges we really had not considered. And our relationship with Christ, it's always been crucial. And you don't want a horrible situation to be what forces you into living right. I'm not judging it. Don't care. We pray that, a lot of people will come to Christ. They really won't have a lot of alternatives. Not good ones, not a better one. Not a better one. But for those of us who name the name of Christ, we have to live it. We have to show ourselves loyal. When we hear people saying and talking, do we hee-haw? Do we agree with things that we know are ungodly? Like Aaron did? Are we going to tell? We might say, well, what if he had told them, no? Are you out of your mind? What if he had spoke like the leader he was supposed to be? What if he had spoken up? Were people thinking, well, it's one of him and maybe a few other people governing with him, and you got about 1 million people against the 7 or the 12 or however many of them were that were working with Aaron, what would have happened? Listen, Christ had to die. Paul had to die. Peter and the apostles had to die. I don't want us to be confused or to be disillusioned and think walking with Christ is not going to cost us something. In America, we have not struggled or had to face losing our lives so far. In the Middle East, in China, in places like that, there are saints who have lost their life for the kingdom, who have put it all on the line. And believe me, America, our day is coming. Our day is coming. There will be a time when to even call yourself a Christian will be an act of war. I said, I'm telling you this prophecy. There will be a day when to call yourself a Christian will be an act of war. So with that, I'm going to close. Again, who is on the Lord's side? And for those who may not know what it means to be on the Lord's side, they need to know, and we have an obligation to let them know God has a will. He has his own will. He has his own purpose. He has conditions. Who is on the Lord's side?